Come on.
Miss Banks, I think you mean Miss Brookins. You need to change this message right now. This is your father. Call me back.
If you wonder where I get my seriousness from and why I'm always like, oh my gosh, I gotta stop taking stuff so serious, it's because of my father. Literally, he was notorious for what I feel like at the time ruining my life. I'm like, Father, I'm just a girl. Like, why do you have to make things so serious? I have a crush on Lloyd Banks. I am Mrs. Banks in my head. Let me have my moment, please. I obviously know this is false information. Now my father, he ain't going for it, honey. Listen, you need to change your voicemail right now and call me back when you get this message. I used to be like, oh my gosh, just rolling my eyes. But the lessons, I also appreciate them so much. For as long as I can remember, my father has always taught me the importance of respecting myself, dreaming larger than life, and being responsible for my own happiness. Not depending on anyone other than myself to make my dreams come true and to live the life that I desire for myself, not even my parents. And that has been something that I deeply appreciated over the years, and also kind of not so appreciated as well, because I have become a part of that I'm independent woman syndrome. And I realize now at my big age, I'm like, honey, you can have that independence, baby. I want a partner. Like, I don't want to do this thing called life by myself. But I do appreciate the stability that it has taught me over the years. I would go with my father for the summers, for breaks at school, whatever. And one summer in particular, I remember us going on a road trip. I remember him asking me, do I want to stay at my auntie's house, because we had to go through Chicago in order to get to his destination. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, any place but on the road. Please drop me off. So I decided I was gonna go for a little walk, girl, by myself. Didn't tell nobody nothing. I could have been no older than 10. I went for a walk up the street, ran into this record store, and fell in love. Do you remember the first time you went inside of a record store? I'm talking to my music lovers, and that moment that you feel when you see all of the vinyls, all of the CDs, like your favorite artists in just one place. I was in love. I was in awe. I was mesmerized. I thought it was the coolest shit ever to have a record store. So that was just so exciting for me. And at the time, Lloyd Banks' Hungry for More album had just came out, and a guy had a huge poster of his artwork, and I was just like, wow, I can't believe you have this, and he let me have it. So can you just imagine me like 10 years old, smiling cheek to cheek with my crush, rolling up the street like living my best soft life, okay? Because you couldn't tell me absolutely nothing. And when I made it back to the house, I put my poster board in my father's truck, and then I went inside, got my ass chewed up, because who did I think I was? Like, let's be for real, girl, you are not untouchable. Got my ass chewed all the way up. Then we got back in the car, and my poster was missing. And so I asked my father, I said, what happened to my poster? And he's like, oh, I threw that out. You wanted it? Like, type shit. And I'm like, why would you throw my stuff away without asking me? Like, I could not fathom the thought of someone disrespecting my items like that. My father in that moment really simplified and humanized celebrities for me. And he said, let me tell you something, baby girl. The only difference between you and the man on that poster is that everybody knows his name, and he has a lot more money in his bank account than you do. Other than that, you bleed the same, you cry the same, you hurt the same, you love the same. He's a human just like you're a human. And while in that moment, I did not appreciate the lesson, because what he gonna do is always give me a lesson. I understood it when I got older, obviously. But it made sense. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I get that. I was never a super fangirl in the sense of when I see an artist, I'm gonna pass out, I'm gonna fall out, I'm gonna cry, I'm gonna scream. Like, that was never me. I never even understood that concept for real. But I definitely could appreciate art. Anywho, after the speech, he lifted up the bed, and there was my poster. And so all was great. One of the things my father instilled in me as a young girl was to dream big. He will always say dream big, and he thought it was so cool because my first name is Dominique, which I don't know that y'all know that. Oh my gosh. My first name is Dominique. My last name is Brookins. And so Brooke comes from my last name. And he will always just say, dream big, dream big. That should be your brand. And you should think outside the box. And so if he asked me, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'll say a dancer. And he'll say, well, why not be the choreographer? And I'm like, because, geez, like at the time, it used to make me feel like my dreams weren't big enough or good enough. You know what I mean? Because I'm just like, why can't you just accept what I want to do? But I will explain to him it's because, 9 times out of 10, the choreographer makes up the dance for the dancers to perform. And then that's it. They're typically not performing with the dancers. And I want to perform. Like, that's the part of the art that I enjoy, is performing. So I want to be a dancer, or I'll say I want to be an actress. And like, well, why not be the producer? And I'm like, yeah, it's because I want to be in front of the camera, not behind it. And, he's like, well, why not be the person that makes the film, that writes the film? And he will always just pushes me to think bigger than what my little bitty brain was allowing me to think at the time. And I used to frustrate me so much. It used to frustrate me. Oh my gosh, it used to frustrate me. But I so get it and I so appreciate it. And I remember going off to college and I was watching the news randomly, y'all. And it was like, the highest paid job right now for a woman is a pharmacist. I said, bet, clocked it. That's what I'm going to school for. Mind you, never in my life, okay? Never in my life did I ever have a desire to do anything in the medical field. It does not interest me. It never interests me. And it still doesn't interest me. But I understood that I can't dance forever. And at the time, that's all I ever wanted to do. So and it was hard for me to kind of see a life outside of that, because you just could not tell me I was not going to be on tour with some of my favorite artists. Like, stop playing. But I was like, okay, so I need something to fall back on. So I was like, cool, I'm going to go to school, get this pharmacy degree, and then boom, I'm going to chase my dreams. Like, I don't know why I thought I couldn't chase my dreams and then go to school later, but that's neither here nor there. Anywho, I get to school, I hate it. If I needed a B plus to pass the class, baby, I got a B. If I needed a C plus, I got a C. Like, there was nothing I could do. There was no amount of studying that I can do to get the grades that I needed to be in this pharmacy program, which worked out because I hated it any freaking way. So I'm like, okay, girl, what are you going to do? You're either going to transfer to performing arts school, or you're going to change your major here and just grind it out in 4 years. I sat down, I looked at a list of majors, came across TDMP, which is my television digital media production program, and fell in love, changed majors, switched over, it worked out. But the point that I'm trying to make is, after I changed my major, it hit me. It's so funny how you can forget things that happen in your life, and then something will happen that triggers that memory and brings you back to that very moment or that very conversation, as if you can see it so clear as day and you can hear it so clear as day. And I remember having the conversation with my father about me wanting to be an actress, and him telling me, well, why not be the producer or the writer? Why not be the person that gives the job away? And it just blew my mind when I made that transition. And I called him expeditiously. I'm like, Father, you won't believe what I just did. You won't believe what my major is. And I reminded him of that conversation. He remembered it. And I'm like, all thanks to you. You don't even understand the little seeds that you were planting in my life at the time. But wow, look how all the dots connect, and look at this full circle moment that I'm having. And like, I'm so excited because I really thought I was going to have to transfer schools because I hated my program. It's so cool to see how things come around full circle. And a lot of times life can feel so overwhelming, and you can be so confused if you're making the right decisions. I feel like if you just sit back and you reflect on your life, literally 9 times out of 10, always in tears, because I'm like, wow, there are so many moments that I didn't realize at the time was showing me what I was destined to do. But looking back, I'm like, whoa, I was in love with cameras when I was a kid. I will always buy cameras from CVS and get them printed and create little binders with, like all of my photos. And I remember requesting a camera for Christmas one year when I realized that there were cameras outside of disposable cameras. And it was a little small, tiny silver digital camera. Nothing special. It didn't have any interchangeable lenses or anything like that. But I used that camera down. Okay, I will literally practice my favorite line from Love and Basketball, like my favorite line from Love and Basketball, when Key was like, can we talk to your new girlfriend? Look, I took the hoe to Burger King. Cheap date, at least she had time for me. So you messed around to prove a point? Yeah, I used to stand in my mirror practicing them lines, recording myself, watching it back, just trying to emulate what I saw, wondering if I had what it took to be on screen. Just little moments like that. It's just so crazy to me. Or like a few weeks ago, I was going through like old archive footage and I came across a video that I recorded when Rihanna first dropped her Fenty perfume, and I did a first impression review, and I filmed it. I never posted it. It never saw the light of day, but it really had me shook, because I'm like, look at me literally prepping for the very thing that I'm doing now and not even knowing it, not even realizing it. And it's so shocking how life works out, y'all. It really is. And you have to be okay with where you are now. Even if there are no accolades attached to the thing that you love doing, will you still do it? If architect was your thing, building houses was your jam, but you couldn't get paid for doing this thing, would you still do it? I know that life sometimes can get really hectic. And I just want to encourage you to be patient with yourself, trust your gut, and know that you are all right. You are doing quite fucking all right.
Just remember to continue to dream big, like my father would always say. And know that you can always call on your cousin if you need your girl, okay? As always, if you made it this far, you know I love you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe so you know the next time I drop. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Super duper hype is, hey! Make sure you don't forget it. Don't forget to mention. That was nice.